Hello and welcome to this breathing practice for alpine acclimation. I'm Danny May, and the theory behind this type of breathing practice is that we are doing our best to, one, mimic the type of environment or respiratory gas exchange that you'll be doing when you are in areas of higher altitude where there is less oxygen. Also, we're trying to prepare the body to be more efficient at those types of altitudes or with those levels of oxygen and even higher levels of CO2. So we're trying to strengthen the breathing mechanics, the muscles you use to breathe. We're trying to create them to be more flexible, really allow the CO2 tolerance to increase and increase your VO2 max as well. So what we're going to be doing today in this beginner's level practice is mostly working with the CO2 tolerance and allowing the body to become a little bit more efficient and familiar and comfortable with higher levels of CO2 and lower levels of oxygen. So it's very important that you listen to your body throughout this practice. If at any time you feel like you're nauseous, like you're too breathless, anything that doesn't feel good or right, it is going to be difficult, but really kind of be able to differentiate between really needing to take a breath and maybe just a little bit of challenge. So make sure you're listening to your body and breathing in the way as a reset breath in and out through the nose as you need to, and then just rejoin the techniques as you see fit. So the very first breathing technique we're going to do today is what's known as minimal breathing. So you have something called your tidal volume, and this is, when you're sitting at home reading a book, watching TV, not really paying too much attention to your respiratory rate. It's just the minimal gas exchange that you need to operate, especially when you are not exercising or doing too much work. So what we're going to do is really shrink that down into the tiniest, quietest, slowest breaths that we can take in and the quietest, tiniest, slowest breaths that we can take out. So if you think of your lung volume capacity, let's just say you could fit 100% of air into your body. Let's say your tidal volume operates, at like 40%. Maybe 60%. Minimal breathing is below 30%, 20% if you can do it, 10% if possible, maybe even 5% if you're pretty efficient in this type of body not needing too much oxygen and being comfortable with high levels of CO2. There's going to be not a lot you'll be seeing me do as far as demoing, but know that I'm sitting here trying to allow the breath to come in and out through the nose just barely. So it's not like those long breaths. It's a little in, a little out, and it's a lot of pausing. So you can think of it as, again, barely breathing. So little in, and then just sitting there, waiting, and then just a little out. Again, this is a pretty tricky, challenging technique. So if you feel like you need to take a reset breath, just let yourself breathe in, let yourself breathe out, and then try to come back to that minimal breathing. All right, when you're ready, allow yourself to find a comfortable seat. Try to allow the spine to be erect, the throat to be nice and open, so chin a little lifted. And if you're comfortable with it, just allow your eyes to close. We'll take one reset breath. You're going to blow all the breath out from your mouth. Take a nice long, deep breath in through the nose. And just release a nasal sigh. And then when you're ready, begin your minimal breathing. Just barely, slowly, softly breathing in, holding, pausing for as long as you can there, and just barely, slowly, softly breathing out, pausing for as long as you can there. This breathing technique is very similar to a communication to your nervous system that you are trying to convince yourself that you do not need that much breath, you do not need that much air or oxygen, that you can just allow yourself to survive and operate on the minimum requirements, minimum effort, minimum breath. Try to relax, try to soften, keep it going just a little longer. I find that typically you either kind of dip into a state where it becomes a lot easier to minimally breathe, or you start to dip into a state where you kind of travel away from that awareness of minimal breathing. Bring it back just a few more cycles. Remember, trying to keep that respiratory volume less than 30%, making it as slow and quiet and soft as possible. And then completely switching it up wherever you are. Go ahead and fill the lungs up with air. Purse the lips, blow it out. Awesome. So that's a really neat technique that you can put into your breathing technique toolbox to allow yourself to just really get comfortable with the lack of breathing, or making it a little easier to breathe with less. So now what we're going to be doing is going into extended volumas. And these extended volumas are trying to allow yourself, similar to the minimal breathing, to get really comfortable with just a little bit of air at a time. So we are going to be doing 100% of our lung volume, but we're going to be doing really slow, tiny, maximum extended voluma. So voluma means against the grain, and as a breathing tech it means to pause. So if I was to breathe in and pause, that means after that pause I'm still going to be breathing in, and then you pause, still going to be breathing in, and then you pause, still going to be breathing in, and then you pause. And I don't want you to worry about counting how many pauses. The idea is to make every sip of air in you take really tiny, really small, and the pauses you take in between those sips of air to be as long as you can. And when I say as long as you can, I don't mean to force yourself into this, really exaggerated or aggressive state of willpower to where you are going to overstress the nervous system. It's how long can you hold with comfort, and maybe even a little bit past that comfort, before you have to take another sip of breath in. And some people, depending on how big the volumes of those sips of air in, they might take 5 sips, they might take 10 sips if they're tinier, they might take 20 sips if they're really tiny. This is all going to be more around your breathing capacities, capabilities, and comforts. So the more sips, the better, because that means that they're smaller, and the longer it will take you to breathe if you're holding those pauses a little longer. You're just going to do the exact reverse on the out breath. So it'll be a little puff of air out, and then you pause for as long as you can. Another little baby, tiniest puff of air out, pause as long as you can, and you're going to keep doing that until you're completely empty. When you're doing it on the in-breath, you're going to keep doing it until you're completely full, and you'll pause at the top before you go and reverse it. So just know that as I go through my breathing technique of these extended volumas, they might be a little bit longer than yours, they might be a little shorter than yours, I might have more pauses or I might have a lot less pauses, but just allow yourself to really try to get the tiniest volume, so more pauses if possible, and the longest amount of time and length of those pauses as possible. Do it on your in-breath and your out-breath. And the key is that and you probably will start to feel breathless, like you're like, oh my gosh, I really need to take a breath. Instead of breaking the technique and just breathing in and out, see if you can let those pauses be quicker. So kind of like a So I'm still doing the technique, I'm just doing it a lot shorter, a lot faster, so I'm kind of tricking my body into thinking I'm getting a reset breath. All right, wherever you are, go ahead and purse your lips, empty all the breath out. Take a nice long deep breath in. Release a nice heavy mouth sigh. And when you're ready, all with the nose, begin your extended maximum extension volumas. Know that each and every pause might be a little longer, a little shorter. Know that you can always allow your rounds, your pauses, the variation between in and out breath to look totally different, because we're really working with the feel of each and every moment. Some moments are going to feel like you could last a lot longer. Some moments are going to feel like you could fill up a lot less or empty out a lot less. Other moments are going to feel like you really need to get that next sip in or out. Other moments are going to allow those sips to be a little bigger or a little quicker. Just keep it going at your pace and allow your pace to flow with that feeling of comfort, with you to really get used to just these little baby sips of air in with a lot of long pauses in between if you can. You only have a little bit longer of this. Keep it going. Wherever you are, purse your lips, blow all the breath out. Take a nice long deep breath in. And heavy sigh. Awesome. So now what we're going to be doing is restricting the airflow as we bring it in and restricting the airflow as we let it out. So we're going to be alternating our inhalations using just one nostril, and we're also going to be, if it's in your practice, using ujjayi. This is where you take your vocal cords and you bring them closer together. It can kind of sound like what people call a Darth Vader breath, or it's the same thing you do when you whisper. You're allowing less air to move through, less volume of air to move through your throat, so that you're kind of, if you have a hose, you're kind of like, creating less flow. So we'll be alternating the in breaths using ujjayi, if that's in your practice, with just in one nose. But then we're going to be doing ventilations from the mouth for the exhalations. So your tongue's going to come to the front two top teeth, and you're streaming a small flow or stream of air from the top of the tongue and the bottom or the roof of the mouth. So it sounds a little something like, and you can notice that if I go really fast, there's a lot of air coming out. But if I go really slow, it's less air going out. And this is the same kind of philosophy of like straw breathing, to where we're really trying to create as much resistance and create as much tiny bit of ability to get the air in and to get the air out. So you can use any type of hands that you like, any finger, any hand. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breathing in through my right nostril. So I'll use my left thumb to cover my left nostril. Then I'll go through the ventilation. Then I'm just going to switch hands, and I'll use my right hand to close my right nostril to breathe in through the left nostril and then ventilate out. So know that, again, my inhalations might be a little slower or a little faster than yours. My exhalations might be a little slower, a little faster than yours. But the goal with this technique is to allow every part of your breath to be as slow and as steady as possible. So there's no pauses, there's no breaks. It's just the tiniest amount and slowest amount of airflow you can be breathing in, and the tiniest, slowest amount of airflow you can be breathing out, tiniest amount of airflow that you can be breathing in, tiniest amount that you can be breathing out. Nice and steady stream of air. All right, so when you're ready, you'll reset the breath. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through the nostrils, flare the sides, and just breathe right back out from the nose. You'll start with the right nostril. When you're ready, Ujjayi, breathe in through the right nostril. Once you've done it as slow as you can, you'll find your ventilation. Make sure you're switching nostrils when you move back to your in-breath. take one more full round. When you finish this last round, just take a full breath in and out through the nose. I hope that you enjoyed this practice and these breathing techniques to help you acclimate to higher alpine conditions. If you enjoyed this practice, and if you are training for a big climb or just to optimize your CO2 tolerance, breathing mechanics, or VO2 max, you also would probably really enjoy the oxygen efficiency classes as well. Make sure to check those out. If you have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to shoot me an email, and I hope to breathe with you again soon. Bye.